Welcome back to Player versus Entertainment, everybody. My name is Kieran, and today we're doing something a little bit different. I know we've been saying that a lot lately, but this is pretty cool. As you might have heard in the introductions of our most recent playthrough, Mothership Chronology, we are finally talking about what it takes to write a one-shot for tabletop RPGs. So I wrote Mothership Chronology completely by myself. It's loosely inspired by a couple movies and ideas, but I really wanted to break down the process, including the playtest that we decided to record and put out in a couple episodes. And later on in this video, you will see our post-session discussion about, notes from the players to me, the DM/writer, about things to change, things that they'd love to see, and then a breakdown of what I actually did change between the version that we played and the version that'll be available to you at the end of this video. It's actually available right now if you go down to the description, so you don't have to wait till the end of the video, but please do wait. If you have any interesting comments, any things to add, please feel free to write things down below in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think, any ideas you might have to make it better, anything similar, anything this reminds you of, anything like that. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to read your comments. So the idea just kind of came along to me one day. I was really interested in this idea of what if we took a bunch of humans from different cultures, speaking different languages, from different time periods, and forced them to work together to escape this looming threat that they can't comprehend. When writing it, I didn't really have a game system in mind at first, but I ended up pivoting towards Mothership, which is a great tabletop RPG. It's pretty rules light. It's a D100 system, and it has a heavy focus on science fiction horror. It really likes to play with this sense of dread, giving players something to fear, and creating a monster that is, this overwhelming threat. So we ended up playing Mothership. The actual released version will be completely system agnostic. It'll be completely adaptable. I think it works best for anything that is science fiction related and has a really good system for controlling player fear. Something like liminal horror might be good. Something like Mothership would be good. Starfinder might work. Cyberpunk could work. Cyborg could work. Anything like that has a really cool science fiction aspect to it. Or if you want to just run it on D&D rules and just play it one time, go for it. You'll notice in the PDF that it's pretty rules light. I'm not really adding a lot of numbers to things because it makes more sense to reach a broader audience. I thought it'd be better to have it pretty loose. The reason I did this is because while we played Mothership system for submitting Mothership modules requires you to go through a sort of certification process. You have to submit your manuscript to them. They will look at it and then they will approve it, and then you can publish it. I wasn't super interested in doing that, which is why this isn't a Mothership game. It's just a game that you could play for any system. And also, I think it's better that way. It's a pretty loose story. It's a pretty loose game, and I'd like to see what people think about it and put their own spin on it. So I'm not super mad about that. So, like I was saying, the inspiration that I kind of used to successfully write this after I had my idea was I ended up watching Predator: Killer of Killers, which is an animated Predator movie that features a very similar idea. It takes three different warriors, three different soldiers from different time periods, like a Viking, a ninja, and a World War II fighter pilot, and forces them to fight a predator. Then they are all taken, put in cryo, spoilers for the movie. They are all taken and put in like this cryo sleep and then made to fight in a combat, like a gladiator arena, and whoever wins fights the king of the predators. But then they all decide to work together to escape. And I really liked that idea. I really thought it was interesting, but I wanted to add a little bit more of this like Groundhog Day twist. And I don't really like the movie Groundhog Day for different reasons. Don't hate me for that. But, you can yell at me in the comments. I don't care. But I liked the idea of there being a time loop. So when I was developing this big bad, I didn't want him to be this super menace like Predator. And he's more of this weird, controlling Lovecraftian monster where he's just big guy with tentacles that'll grab you and pull you into portals, and all of a sudden you're stuck in a cell. So that's what I did. The game opens with your player characters finding themselves in this unfamiliar cell, this brig aboard a ship, and another player drops in from this portal, landing on top of them, and they see this tentacle slink away, and they have no memories of how they got here. So from there, when I started, I was using the Affinity app, the new one, which is completely free. It's an awesome app. They have not sponsored this video. It'd be great if they could. But I used their layout panel in Affinity to literally create a layout for the PDF. I made two 8.5 by 11 inch sheets. I set up my margins to be printable and foldable. And then I literally drew out rectangles and put the information in the rectangles. This was my writing process. I know a lot of people probably will write it down in a book separately and maybe make a map separately, but if you've played The Haunting of Ypsilon 14 for Mothership, they have a really cool system of putting the map and the information in the same page. I can actually grab it for you real quick. So this is Mothership, The Haunting of Ypsilon 14. We've played this on the channel. It was a ton of fun. Go check it out. But you'll notice they have these little rectangles with all of the information you need in rooms. So my map was heavily inspired by this map. They have cool keys to tell you what's in each room. They have these little spaces, these different locked kind of rectangles showing you airlocks and things like that. And they put a lot of information in these little squares. So I decided that was probably an easy system to use, and I decided to, kind of just copy it. In this inner flap here, they have a list of characters and rules for the monster, which is super helpful, which I actually copied on ours. You'll see here we have rules for our monster and what he plays like for the DM to eventually fight the players. On the same flap there. On this back flap here for The Haunting of Ypsilon, they have a couple of important items that your characters might stumble across, as well as an important mechanic. On ours, however, I put our overview, so just kind of a hook for the game, as well as credits for me creating it. Aaron, the lovely Aaron, doing art for the PDF, which will be on the released version, as well as space for a QR code to watch the playthrough, which will also be on the released version. And then on the front here, they have this little, cool art and the title and the title and the hook and some important warden notes. On ours, we just have some cool art in the title and the hook. So really heavily inspired by The Haunting of Ypsilon 14. It's an awesome game. We have played it. Go check it out. It was a lot of fun. But this was specifically made for Mothership, meaning they had to go through the process. It's actually made for Tuesday Night Games, the people that made Mothership. So, they wrote it for people to play Mothership too. Ours is a little bit more loose, so it doesn't really have as much as the Mothership rules. So my process was literally creating squares, filling those squares with information, and moving on from there. So I obviously started with the brig. I made a cool little star here. You might not be able to see it. You'll see it in the other footage. And just to mark that was the starting point. And I decided that... So I started with the brig, and I put a little star in there to mark that was the starting point, and I filled the brig rectangle with information that the characters would need to understand the situation they're in and move on. So specified here, electronically locked cages, line the walls, no more than 2 prisoners in each cell. The lock will unlock if shorted or destroyed. Emaciated humans fill the other cages, all from different time periods and speaking different languages. They are terrified and too weak to help. I put all that in there to kind of create the scene so that my players understood that they were in a jail. These other humans have been there for a long time, and they are barely alive, barely surviving, which is why if they decided to break everybody out of jail, which they could do, none of these other humans would be willing to risk their lives to help them just because they're simply not healthy enough. Say one of my players died during the campaign or during the playthrough and I needed another character, then I could pull from one of those two. Maybe one of them got a sense of courage all of a sudden and decided to go join. So, it gives the DM a little bit of leeway in case certain things happen. From there, I created my second room, which was a storage room. This one was one that I was really, really interested in. The storage room acted. The original idea for Glignog, the monster, was that he was this hoarder and this pawner. So he is obsessed with human culture. He hoards all of these trinkets from time. He has like this collection of movies on DVD and VHS in his room that he watches, his Hatsune Miku figure, as you'll see us talk about in the campaign. Go check it out. It's a lot of fun. And so he has this pit that things just are constantly being pulled out of time and dropped into, and these two drones will go around and scan things that are marked as valuable that Glignog will want to keep, and things that are less valuable that he's willing to sell. And from there, those drones will pick that item up and drop it into a cart, and they'll either be incinerated or moved to storage to sell. Connected to storage was the incinerator and medbay. The medbay was a reason. It was a room that kind of gave reason to players not having memories about how they got here. When they originally arrived here, they were put on this operating table and they had their minds tampered with to make them forget how they ended up here. Which is why when they first awaken in these cells, they have no memories. But every, other iteration, they do end up remembering what has happened up to that point. The incinerator was just a way for Glignog to get rid of things. It was also kind of a threat to the players. It just kind of made sense for something to be on the ship. I also added carbon blocks in there, which were something that the players could use as explosives to potentially kill Glignog or blow up the ship or do whatever they want with. And the incinerator led directly into the engine bay, which was another place where they could tamper with the engine. They could break it, and you can see them trying to do that. And then from the engine bay, you can go up to the bridge. The bridge looked out into the vast endlessness of space, but also showed the players that they were headed towards an asteroid that operates as essentially a gas station and a pawn shop. And the owner was known to pay a pretty credit for anything considered vintage. This has changed in the new version, which you'll see us talk about and you'll hear me talk about later. But it kind of told players what their future might look like if they end up just killing Glignog. I didn't tell them at any point that if they killed him, they'd be stuck here. But, when the one guy that can send you home is dead, then how are you going to get home? So the bridge operated as that, and then there was the armory off of the bridge as well as the quarters. The armory was kind of a red herring room. It was called the armory, but all that was really in there was like a bucket with a stun baton in it. I ended up removing this just because it's kind of mean to have that in there. So, we got rid of it. But then also you can unlock the quarters from the bridge, and in the quarters is where you'll find Glignog, a giant cephalopod-esque alien with tentacles and these giant eyes, he's reaching into these temporal portals and pulling things from time and putting them in the pit, and sometimes, kidnapping people. So this was kind of the idea. The process of actually writing was I put all these blocks down, I built out my PDF, and each time I needed to build a new block, I'd, just really focus on what would make sense for there to be a ship. We went through a couple iterations. Before I had the med bay, I had this hangar that was full of different vehicles from different time periods, like a van, a biplane, the original Wright brothers plane, like boats, and then like a dinky little transport ship that the players could escape on if they so wished. But I ended up changing that because I didn't want to give the players an easy way out. So I figured it'd be better if I forced them to fight the big bad. And I do think that was a good decision. So that was gone before we even played the first time. It was a lot of testing, a lot of trial and error. I worked on it during like a Thanksgiving break, and it was really just put a square down, write some stuff that fills that square, see if it makes sense, and kind of think about how players might run through that and how it might flow to an actual player. So from there on, from when I had the one shot at a spot that I was happy with, I scheduled a time to play with some friends, and we play tested it. They kind of knew it was a play test, but they, take everything pretty seriously, which I'm grateful for. So that was awesome. And at the end of the 3 episodes, we did a post discussion which I will play for you here in a second. But playtesting is a super important part of the process. It lets you know how players are going to feel about it, if they're having fun, what works and what doesn't work. And if you are writing a one-shot, it is a great idea to play test that one-shot with some friends. I know it's a little difficult if you're writing the one-shot for them and you don't really want to spoil anything. So it might be worth, kind of looking for other ways, maybe posting on some forums, sharing it on Reddit, stuff like that, or just talking to someone close to you who might not be a player who is interested in these ideas, these kind of stories, and really working out with them how things might unfold, even if they're not an RPG player. I talked to some people who don't really play RPGs or aren't super into it, and they still had interesting ideas for me to think about. So it's really, really important that you at least get somebody else's eyes on the project so that you aren't looking at it with this. It's really important that you get somebody else's eyes on the project so that you're not kind of glazed over with all this information that you're trying to put down on the page, and you can see it with a fresh set of eyes. It's the same thing for any other creative project that you're trying to do. I mean, editing videos is the same way. Like, you've been working on this thing for hours. You just eventually need to get up, reset, take a step back, and really examine it for what it is and not what you're trying to make it, so that you can make good decisions that will help the project overall. So right now I'm going to let you guys watch the post discussion from our playthrough, and we'll come back and I'll talk about those notes a little bit. I hope you enjoy. All right, we just played through the first ever playtest of Chronology, which we've been writing, and this video has been following that. So we're just going to kind of talk about what worked, what didn't work, things that we would change, a little tweak, and generally just the overall vibe, if everybody had fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was trying to loop in, or get that time loop thing in a little earlier, but you guys are doing a good job of killing everything and sneaking around.
Yeah, that was surprising, honestly.
That was cool. I did like the reaction of me being like, you're all pulled back and put into the same spot, and realizing it's a time loop. So
Time loop, yeah.
Buckle's actively dying of a disease.
Got TB.
Consumption. Oh no. Yeah, what do you guys think worked, didn't work? What would you like to, what could use some work, some tweak, or did I do a perfect job first try?
Perfect.
Could not be better.
I liked it a lot. I like the concept. I think maybe his ship could have been more intimidating. I think just the two random drones, yeah. But I guess it wasn't supposed to be super, guarded. It was just like a
it
was a chud ship.
He's he's supposed to be this telepathic, omniscient being that's controlling everything,
and he just really likes Earth figurines.
Yeah, like literally, I wrote that he's like this. He's this greedy. He's greedy and obsessed with human culture and history, and they hoard their material treasures in the storage room and prisoners in the brig. So his brig is just like a human zoo of just interesting cultures and aspects.
I love human culture, especially 2020 Japan.
Yeah,
pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, he is a Hatsune Miku fan. That's canon now. And I do say here that killing Glignog would strand you in the current timeline.
Oh,
which it looked like you guys are going down that route for a minute, and then if defeated but spared, he'll cooperate and send you back home. So you guys went back home and you fucked everything up.
Yeah.
Would we have been able to cryo sleep? Back home?
Yeah, if not, you would have made it back to Earth, but you would have still been in the present, which would be all of your future, and you'd have to figure out how to live. I think it'd be an interesting jump, launch pad for a longer campaign.
Yeah, 100%.
Now you have all these historical characters that have to adapt to living in the future. Your knight is slowly being like, guns are pretty cool.
Guns are actually.
I don't think I need a sword anymore.
He's decked out in all this military armor. He's just got these big guns.
I found out this thing called Kevlar.
Everyone's Catholic, and no one's Catholic. I don't understand this. Priesthood.
They're doing what to the kids?
Oh dear.
What do you like? I
think the concept is super cool.
Yeah, I like the concept. I think maybe having more time appropriate things to play with, sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, if he's so obsessed with sort of human culture, just have more of that sort of stuff lying around, or maybe there's exhibits.
Exhibits might be cool. Instead of a pit that just has various stuff, maybe he has exhibits or some kind
of traveling museum,
like a literal museum instead of just a pit.
We're part of the human zoo.
Where your character can pull stuff from either histories that they don't know, or histories that they know of. So my character would know of the old histories and be like, oh, I think I could pull this from this time.
Yeah.
Or if you're a past character, then you can clearly go 100 years from my current time, there will be this thing, and then I can also lead to what the fuck.
Yeah.
I do like the pit as well, though.
Yeah,
I think both work. Mm-hmm. Does the pit kind of signals that he just grabs junk, just grabs anything.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
think
gets
has to
sorted
sort
from
through
But
it,
yeah,
eventually,
and
Is
then-
this cool?
It's sorted.
Maybe instead of the storage room, there's a museum or something.
Yeah.
instead of the armory.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe.
I like that. Originally, instead of the med bay, I had a hangar that had like a bunch of historical vehicles in it.
Oh, that would have been
So like
cool.
literally like a World War II biplane.
Yeah.
That'd be
And then I was like, because I was trying to give you like a way out too, of like there's a little like junker van that you
Yeah.
can fly out, and I was like, nah, I want to force you to have to fight Glignog and all that.
I was spending.
But I like
so
the museum
long-
idea that lets me put the plane back in, but like with an aspect of like you can't fly it out of here, but it's
Yeah.
cool to look at.
I spent so long trying to figure out how to
Sorry.
work in the wait. Germany's bad again. I was like, I need to get it through somehow.
We totally wiped those guys out. How'd
Yeah,
they-
I think
what?
I think
They're
you'll have
back.
an easier time playing something like this if you actually give a fuck about history.
Yeah.
Not that I don't give a fuck, but I don't know a lot.
I think
about
as someone without historical knowledge, it's just like, oh man, what is something that?
What can I think
use?
about?
Yeah, like what does my character?
Like
know?
I said,
Some
I know my
pre-generated-
cowboys
yeah.
and my samurai, and that's it.
Some pre-generated characters if you're publishing this, I think.
Oh
would be
yeah,
really
I
good.
actually meant to do that, and then I ran out of time and just
Oh,
didn't.
that's
But I think I'd like to have a couple rewritten or pre-written that are like your typical archetypes of like World War II soldier, your army man, like
Yeah.
your knight, your. I actually liked the strongman. That's pretty funny,
That
like a
is funny.
circus freak.
Thank you.
Maybe like
Uh,
a modern day spy, like a
yeah.
James Bond type.
I just want to avoid like I wanted to avoid
Cliches.
modern because I feel like the technology we have now is very close to the technology that's in the game. Aside from like we have laser guns now in the game,
Yeah.
and it's like we're not that far away from laser guns.
Mhm.
Like anybody who knows how a normal gun works now could easily figure out a laser gun.
Yeah.
I wanted y'all to have to like work for understanding things.
Yeah.
and,
Or
like,
it could. I think. Ooh, what could be fun is like maybe instead of like having just like locks on like the cages or like a lock on a room that you just can't access. Maybe the locks have like passwords, and those passwords like either historical facts, like pop culture references to things of that time, so
funny.
that it could be interesting for the character to like, oh, I have knowledge about this thing that is
Yeah.
now useful. So like imagine if you have the museum and like there's the 90s exhibit and the password is like something from the 90s.
yeah.
So like you could do
Vanilla
that specifically
Ice.
for the museum or maybe for other thing or like I think maybe working in some
It's all Jeopardy.
like small like some more hints
Alex
that he's
Trebek
clearly
is
just a
on
nerd.
this
It's one big
Yeah.
game show.
I think hints that he's like kind of just a nerd
Yeah.
throughout.
I mean, kind of with the
It's
game
good
show
stuff.
idea too. Like even if we're, I know kind of the concept is that we're escaping, but like if we're not escaping and we're being put through like trials or something. Like,
Yeah.
that could be neat.
Ooh, I like that
It's
actually.
entertaining him.
Yeah, it's sort of like an entertainment.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been upset if we got looped more. Like if he was more persistent in grabbing.
Yeah, I was trying to
And
figure
more
out if it's
capable.
better to like the way I wrote it, but I kind of didn't play this way was that anytime you made a ton of noise, he would automatically grab you and put you back.
Oh,
But I felt like if I kept doing that, you guys would be like
I think
getting a little annoyed, so I didn't want to push
that
it.
would be a bit much.
Yeah.
But I think maybe I don't know because I feel like it's interesting the idea that like one or two people can get looped but the others don't.
I thought about almost doing that, and I was like, I have no,
I have
idea
clue
how
you
I would do
actually
that
Run that.
because like it would have been cool if you two were like put back in time with like earlier versions of them, but you already know what they
Yeah.
Oh, fuck
know.
that.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
Separating that
I was like,
mentally is
yeah,
impossible.
there's
That's
no
crazy.
way I'm gonna do this right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it would have been really interesting
It
to
would have been-
try. But then I think I'd have to run two separate two
Yeah.
timelines of like you guys are with the old versions of them, but you guys are now alone doing this
like
thing,
the-
and at some point you're gonna sync up.
The Rick
Right.
and Morty episode where it splits into like 16.
But it's like at some point you guys would like if you guys just waited in the med bay, eventually your old selves would catch up to your current
and
selves,
the timeline explodes.
and they would like merge into each other, and you'd have all the memories you just had. Like it could be done, but I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm gonna grab. I'm so glad that you went. Well, if the portal's the way in, maybe it's the way out. Because then I was like, great, he grabs both of you.
Another thing, maybe if there was more consequence to the time looping,
Yeah.
it kind of just felt like it was like start over kind of thing.
Yeah.
Start over, but then we just
Maybe-
skip through all the.
I think
Maybe
maybe
like the security was heightened every time we loop or something.
I don't-
Yeah, like
maybe
there's
that-
consequences.
Because I feel
to
like that makes the game harder as you go. I think maybe even just having to do like a panic check every time you get looped.
Because you're
That'd
just
be good.
freaked out from
Yeah, 'cause you're
time travel.
Yeah.
Whatever you see in that portal fucks you up.
Yeah. I think some like minor drawback that more so affects how your character acts than like
Yeah.
Panic checks is actually a really good idea because a lot of these effects do that where like you're frightened or you have nightmares or you like just feel doomed or you have a death wish. Like that could be interesting.
Excuse me.
Bye, Buckle.
He's gonna go die.
Yeah. Well, as long as you guys enjoyed it overall,
I think
I'm pretty happy with that.
Overall,
it's really good. I like the time looping. It's just I have no clue how to make multiple timelines work.
It would be so cool.
Oh,
There's a cool game. There's a cool one shot for Dragonbane that I've listened to. I don't have it, but it's called The Village of the Day Before, and they do time looping in that. But it's like this mage just put this spell on this town to trap it in like a time loop, but like every like 20 in-game minutes, a dragon comes through and burns the entire village to ash.
I feel
It's
like,
like it
So it's
kills
like
all your
almost- it's a
characters.
Groundhog Day
It
type-
kills all your characters, and you reset the day walking through like into the portal. But you have all your memories of like, wait a minute.
That's cool.
there's a Call of Cthulhu scenario that's like that
Yeah.
too, but it all takes place in just like 1 hour.
Yeah.
So I mean, those investigations, like I mean, you've played them. They're several hours, if
Yeah.
not several days. So it's just like you get a little bit of information, and then it all starts over.
And you have to like
and now you're
piece it all
You have
together.
to piece it all together as you keep working through it.
I definitely think I'd like to add more like mystery of what's going on. So
Yeah.
I was playing around with like vents at the very beginning of like putting vents that you
He
can crawl
vented-
through, and then I was like, that's just gonna let you skip stuff, and I'd rather you have to like walk through it. So I really like the museum idea of like forcing you to walk through all these things of like, look at this attraction I've built. It's entertainment, and then at the end he's like, wait a minute, y'all shouldn't be here. Oh,
Maybe he's
I
got
that
like
idea.
just for a bit of comedy. Maybe he's got like sort of recorded explanations of the exhibits.
Yeah.
and they're just the facts are wrong.
Yeah.
like he's
Oh,
just
that's good. Because like I think in this game, like, obviously humans are still alive and like the human culture still exists, but I think they've lost a lot of like the history of it because like now it's just about survival. I like that. I do like that we ended with like the UK taking over. It leads to Punk
All
is
of a
dead,
It's-
and
I don't even think it's the UK. It's just Cornwall.
yeah, that's fun.
We
It's
are
it's
Cornwall.
Planet Cornwall.
It's Cornwall. You guys never make
Funny
it to
guy.
space,
No,
or
we
do you?
never do because we're afraid.
Yeah,
we know
you're
what's
like
out
fuck
there.
that.
There's no wars, so we don't.
There's no
technologically
war in
advance as
space.
fast.
Yeah.
We don't need to.
Stop making machines to kill each other.
Yeah,
And start making machines to love each other.
exactly.
Yeah.
One of the ways to lose stress in this game is to have consensual sex.
Oh,
That's nice.
don't look at me when you say that.
So I was like, interesting. Also, there's like a guy with his butt.
Quickly, Everett.
We must.
I'm very stressed out,
Away.
Everett. I need a release.
Do you consent?
Calm me down right now.
Calm me down. Mount me, Everett.
The louder you scream, the faster I come.
Ew.
Cool.
I'm dying.
Does anybody have anything else to add?
I'm dying.
Well, I'll make some changes and we'll see where it ends up, and
make it better.
hopefully we'll release this thing. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you.
you.
All right. I hope you enjoyed watching our little post discussion. We do those a couple times for a couple different one shots. I think it's more important to get that feedback when you're the one writing the one shot and you hope to do a little bit more with it. So I wrote down a couple notes there, as you can see, and I have the pamphlet in front of me. So some of these notes that I wrote down were more time stuff existing and a panic check on loop. Because we were playing Mothership, there is a system for panic checks that causes players to roll to see if they panic or if they can keep their cool, and depending on the character's class, different things can happen based on that. I think that's a great mechanic. I think that was suggested by Joseph. I'm not 100% sure right now. So that was something I wrote down. They also suggested maybe switching it from a pit full of stuff to some sort of museum, which was I thought was a great idea and actually aligned closer to my original goal of, you know, creating this kind of exhibit. This guy is obsessed with human culture, so why would he just be selling it, right? Like, he wants to show it off to people. He wants to prove that he's some scholar, some great Indiana Jones, if you will, of the future, and he's collecting all these human people, all these human objects, all this culture, and displaying it for these other people to come look at. So I changed the brig to a zoo, and I changed the pit to a museum full of replicas and actual items of, you know, important weapons and armors and inventions of the modern age, or not the modern age, but of human culture throughout the time. So like cowboys and dusters and revolvers, samurais and samurai swords, and, you know, like knights and suits of armor and things like that, Shakespeare. So I think those were really good changes suggested by my players that I did make in the new version, and you'll see it in the new version. They also liked that the big bad ended up kind of being like this goofy, like, nerd about human culture. Like, he was just really into it. And they suggested that I put a couple more nerd hints in there, which I decided to do in the form of like some world building. Like, he has little you know, he's running this zoo, he's running this museum, so he has these little like these little placards that he set up that are kind of like, oh, this one's one of my favorites. Like, oh, I really love feudal Japan and the samurai. And he's kind of this like nerd about it. They also suggested that there should be a bunch of incorrect facts about humans, which I thought was hilarious. Like this idea that this guy's supposed to be the authority. This guy's supposed to be the authority on like human culture now, but in reality, as they're reading it, they're like, what is this guy talking about? Like, none of this is true. I thought that was another fun thing to put in, so I'm definitely trying to work towards that. So I have created the new version just by moving things around, reworking some of the ideas, and still using Affinity and the layout panel to do all of that. And that new version is available to you now in the description below. I really hope you enjoy it. Please leave a comment if you download it and check it out. Even if you don't play it, even if you just read it, leave a comment, leave me some suggestions. Tell me what you think. I would really appreciate it. Also, check out our Discord. The link is in the bio. We're trying to get more people in there. We can join. It's a fun place to just talk about RPGs as well as our content, anything you'd like to see from us. We'd really like to hear more feedback from the community. Check out our Patreon. There's not a lot going on there, but we'd still love it if you could. And you know, if you want to just send some money our way, it'd be really appreciated. You can check out our coffee link in the bio. And, you know, make sure to come on back for all things fun.